think that it is the responsibility of the director to deeply consider how they portray reality in terms of how they portray historical fact. And for me in my process, really what that usually sort of manifests as is doing a ton of research to make sure that I am being as faithful to reality as I can be, if that's the mandate of the show, or if I'm deviating from reality, I'm doing it for a reason. And so I think that in the case of a show like Ovita, it was really, really important to me to understand as much historically as I possibly could.
I do a few things on Hadestown. One is that I time all of the reverb, all of the special effects to the BPM of the music, so that it very, very specifically fits. Either it wants to be very tight or very long and lush. Another trick that we use, which is one of my favorites, is we have an oscillator that's running throughout the entire show with a gate on it that opens whenever the kick drum is hit. So we add like a 2 millisecond thump of 60 or 55 hertz, I believe, is how we've tuned it to match the key of the music. 10 milliseconds, just like long booms, which take you on that journey out of the underworld. It's a bit jarring. You're just like, what? Wow, okay. And momentous, right? It meant a lot, not just to me, but for the representation of women in this field. And I hope it means, you know, a lot to some young woman who maybe wants to move into this field to go, oh, when I watch the Tonys, I'm not just gonna see men up there. I'm not just gonna see cisgendered white men up there. I'm going to see people of color, and I'm going to see women. I'm going to see women of color. And I can do this too.
The Broadway Sinfonietta is an all-female identifying and majority women of color orchestra that is designed to showcase how excellent BIPOC women musicians are. Leading up to the pandemic, I'd become increasingly conscious of just the lack of women of color who do what I do, or the lack of women of color that I would even see in the rooms that I was in. And when I had put myself forward for shows that were gonna have a traditionally white Broadway sound, I would get responses that's like, oh, well, you haven't done work at this scale, you haven't done that kind of work. And I was like, well, that's the kind of work that is, you know, that's the kind of work that is how my musical voice has been built. I had a feeling that it was the same for women of color instrumentalists too. And so the Sinfonietta originally started in my mind as like, it was sort of conceived as a one-off. I was like, I want to make a video of this song that I'd had an arrangement in my mind that I'd wanted to create for a really long time.